Dual class drafting is back and the evergreen set is gone. We have all the wild exclusive sets in Arena right now, while all the standard sets are excluded. Added to all this, buckets are gone as well. This means an average deck is weaker than before and drafting choices are more obvious previously. We have played through several runs in the last couple of days and here is our first impression of the meta. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to the Tempo Storm YouTube channel to keep up with all of our Hearthstone content. Now let's begin. So a common question we always get is, what class do I pick? In dual class, the second class you pick decides your hero power. This is important because the strongest hero power in Arena comes from Rogue, Warlock, and Mage. With this in mind, you want to avoid picking these as your first class so you can see them later. The strongest class you should pick first are Paladin, Warrior, and Priest. Let's talk about each one. In our previous video, we said Paladin was a winner in dual class. The reason Uther is so powerful right now is its sheer card quality and the lack of answers that can properly address them. One thing we immediately noticed is the lack of silence and transforming effects. Without them, every buff can be threatening. Spike Ridge Steed just wins games most of the time you play it on an even board. And then there's the Paladin weapons. Muster for Battle, Vine Cleaver, and Coghammer are among the top 5 Paladin cards right now. In a meta lacking spells, weapons are your best friend to push tempo and maintain board advantage. Oftentimes, these cards feel game-winning on their own. There are very few ways to deal with Muster for Battle on turn 3, Vine Cleaver on 7, and Coghammer on a minion. Next up we have Warrior. The story is very similar to Paladin. The Warrior weapons often give you 2-for-1 value while also pushing for tempo. N'Zoth's First Mate perfectly sums up the current meta right now. It is very tempo focused, and a 1-mana card that gives you a flexible weapon and a body will secure the early game. Oftentimes it feels like the game is won simply because you drafted and played a Death Spite on turn 4. Other cards that are working well are the big boys. Obsidian Destroyer and Tar Lord are cards that are hardly removed by one spell and usually require the opponent to throw multiple minions at it. Dual class perfectly showcases how strong Warrior can be if only Garrosh had a better hero power. Lastly, we have Priest. Priest right now has a lot of premium removals other classes simply don't have. In a meta without buckets, Potion of Madness is an auto pick and can simply destroy games. Entomb is also one of the few removal options that can deal with annoyingly big minions. There is also a wide array of board clears that you will encounter at some point. Like Paladin, Priest also has common buffing effects that can push a lot of tempo. Other than these 3 classes, Warlock is also a strong pick for first class despite its strong hero power. There are simply too many strong cards at their disposal, and we have described these in length in our last Arena video. Now, as for the second class, Rogue, Mage, and Warlock hero powers are among the best ones. If those are not available, Druid, to a lesser degree, is also a suitable pick if the other 3 are absent. Paladin and Hunter are also pickable, but we highly do not recommend Priest, Warrior, and Shaman hero powers. The issue with these hero powers are they provide limited interaction with the board. Priest can heal minions, but the effect is usually beyond the mid-game since playing an on-curve minion usually gives more tempo. Let's expand on the topic of tempo a bit. Compared to the last meta, dual class feels significantly less swingy. In the past, for several turns, you and your opponent were removing stuff on the board with reactive cards. This is no longer the case. A lot of swings come from already having the board, which makes the meta more about who lands a minion on the board first. This makes quality early game minions a lot more valuable. Darnas's Aspirant, for example, is among the top 3 Druid cards in win rate. It cheats out tempo and is not easy to remove. Poisonous minions are also more valuable due to how efficient they are for their mana cost. Players who go first will definitely have a lead, but you can claw your way back if you are lucky with weapons and game-winning buff. This is why Priest, Warrior, and Paladin are among the top primary classes. So what are your best drafting options for a tempo-heavy meta? First, curve is way more important. Draft about 6 to 8 1-2 mana cards, 5 good 3-mana minions, 4 good 4-mana minions, and go from there. If you're Rogue, you can limit the amount of 2-mana cards you take for a more solid turn 3, 4, 5 curve. Second, big taunts that cost 7 to 8 mana are also very effective to deal against early game tempo leads. Large removals are way less common and certain classes have little to no removal options. Heavier taunts such as Sleepy Dragon are a bit weaker than the lower cost taunts, but can still stabilize your life. Usually these larger taunts require you to have smaller taunts to fully stop aggression. Third, this is going to sound obvious, but board clears and removals are essentially auto picks. Even weaker cards such as Spirit Lash and Dragon's Breath are valuable because they're so scarce. Dual class offers interesting synergies that are otherwise impossible. Rogue has Ethereal Peddler and Obsidian Shard. These effects activate based on the class cards of your second class. Here's an example. You are a paladin with the Rogue hero power. If you drafted Peddler, the card will reduce the cost of Rogue cards. The system believes the first class you pick is your main class, so the Rogue cards in your hand are technically from another class. With the same logic, when you discover cards, it will only feature cards from the hero in your portrait and not your secondary class. For example, if you drafted Raven Idol and your main class is Warlock, you will only see Warlock spells when discovering them. Another synergy is between Warrior and Rogue. Warrior has Lesser Mithril Spellstone, which activates each time you hero power. 2 hero powers will charge the Spellstone and allow you to slam down 3 5/5s on turn 7. Warlock has Floating Watcher that synergizes with weapons. Each time you take damage with your weapon, it will buff the Watcher. Finally, another synergistic combo is Hunter Mage. Mage has Arcanologist to draw secrets, while Hunter has Lesser Emerald Spellstone. Although secrets are generally pretty weak by themselves, they're much stronger if you have the synergies going for them. A trend we noticed with dual class this time around is the lack of class cards. Despite having 2 classes available, you barely see them. This is likely the result of missing the evergreen sets. With wild sets, some classes have many lackluster class cards. Mage is a perfect example of this. They've lost Flame Strike, Fireball, Polymorph, Frostbolt, Blizzard, and Water Elemental. These cards represented Mage as a Spellslinger class. Now Mage only has one identity, and that is her hero power. One other observation we've noticed is more legendaries appearing in the draft. For example, one player posted a deck list including 6 legendaries. In the last year or so, 6 legendaries in a deck is unheard of. Another player posted having 2 legendaries in a row as the first 2 picks. It seems the wild event going in standard is impacting Arena as well. Hall of Fame Ragnaros and Sylvanas are appearing in drafts, but none of the other Hall of Fame cards are in draft. This wraps up our first impressions of dual class Arena. Amid all the chaos right now, Arena is at an interesting place. We are getting free tickets once a week, and there are a lot of players in the format. We will likely write a meta report as well for dual class, so be on the lookout for that. What have you experienced with dual class? What crazy moments have you experienced? Comment below. And as always, be sure to like the video and subscribe to stay up to date with our Hearthstone content. See you all next time.